Good morning, over here from Chesington Wildwood Adventures and of course Halloween. Yesterday we were over at the park to of course check out their 2022 offerings. And you know what, it's so great to be back at this event, as in my opinion it's one of the best events over here in the UK. Of course in this video I'm going to be showing you all of the different entertainment, including shows, walkthroughs and so much more. You know, this park definitely has a lot to offer throughout the Halloween event. And yeah, over the past few years, you know, it's definitely been improving each and every year, which is definitely great to see. Of course, that's what I'm most looking forward to this year. Like the VAR Villagers Wildwoods was definitely a highlight of last visit. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back in there. Along with that, I'm also looking forward to seeing all the different shows, and yeah, so much more over at the event. Without any further ado, let's get straight inside of Chesington Wildwood Adventures Halloween. So just as we make our way over to our first show, as you can see over here on the pathways are of course some nice theming. First up, you can of course see a lovely skeleton up there, but in my opinion the best piece over here is of course this tiger pumpkin, and you know what, it definitely looks pretty cool. Okay, so we've now made our way over here to Adventure Point. As you can see, the first piece of entertainment today is of course going to be the Witches of Adventure Point. And yet in terms of the spooky rating, as you can see it is only actually one pumpkin. And in terms of how they work, as more pumpkins as you get, is of course as spooky as it's going to be. So of course, this is actually suitable for all ages. In terms of the shows today, of course you've got the opening ceremony over at 12 PM. Along with that you've got the normal show times, which is just like a normal show. And also as well you've got the closing ceremony, which is at 6 PM. And you know what, it definitely looks pretty cool. But of course, first off, we're actually going to be checking out the opening ceremony. Because yeah, it is actually going to be 12 o'clock where all the entertainment starts. So yeah, here are a couple of highlights over here from the show. So the rain is starting to come down and we've just finished our first show, which was of course the Witches of Adventure Point opening ceremony. And you know what, it was actually quite good. Essentially what happened was, I'm sorry if I didn't film too many clips of that, I hope I did get a clip at least, but you know what, basically what happened, there were a couple of witches of course up on the stage, and yeah, basically all the actors from around the park, were then basically run off to, wherever they need to go to, of course, go to their scare zone or anything like that. And you know what, I actually find it was a pretty good show to be honest, as in my opinion it was quite nice how they sort of just ran around. Of course, they ran everyone who was a little bit further back in the audience, and it wasn't really just focused on that stage, which was definitely pretty cool to see. But of course, as you can see down here, just over in the Wildwoods, is of course some more theming. And you know, this definitely is pretty cool as well. Of course, you've got the skeleton, and I'm not sure about this one, but I believe the owl's eyes are actually of different colours now as Halloween. You know, it definitely is pretty cool. Also as well, the pumpkins look great as always. You know what, I'm loving the theming so far over here at the event. As you can see, a little bit further down into the Wildwoods is of course tons of theming down here with of course the spider. And in my opinion, what I like most about this is of course just the little hidden details. As you can see over here, there's like this little skeleton rat. Or I believe it's a rat anyway, maybe something else. But you know what, it definitely looks pretty cool. Next I'm actually going to be heading down a little bit even deeper into the Wildwoods to of course check out VAR Villagers of the Wildwoods. So yeah, let's go and head down there. So in terms of more information over about the VAR Villagers of Wildwoods, as you can see, this is actually a scare zone, and I believe this came last year, of course, in 2021. And you know, it was definitely a great, of course, addition. As yeah, in my opinion, they definitely put a lot of effort into their theming and, of course, the overall experience. And yeah, that's why I'm so looking forward to it, of course, being back for this year, the second year of course, this scare zone. But as you can see, between 12 o'clock and, of course, 3 PM, as you see, the spooky rating is only 2 pumpkins. So it means right now it will be a little bit turned down to of course not as scary. However, from 3 to of course 7, which is park close, it is a little bit more scary. So of course we will be experiencing both of them today. As I just said, right now is of course a little bit less spooky. But, you know, it's still going to be pretty cool to of course see all the theming throughout. Something else which I quite like down here, if you actually cross your arms, they won't actually scare you. And you know, that's actually a pretty cool idea, of course, for anyone who actually doesn't like to be scared. Let's go and head inside of the VAR Villagers of Wildwoods. Okay, so we've just been outside of the VAR Villagers of Wildwoods. And you know what, compared to last year, that was definitely an improvement. Essentially, you sort of walked around like this sort of village in a way. And you know what, it was all themed, of course, around vampire, which of course the Arrow Suspended coaster over at the park. And you know what, that was actually really good fun. In my opinion, the theming was about on level from last year. There may have been a couple more theme pieces actually. But the actors were definitely the main highlight of that. As last year there were some actors, but I felt like it was lacking a little bit in actors. And you know, this year, oh wow, you know, it was definitely an improvement. Literally every single place you went, there were tons of actors, and also as well that smoke tunnel at the end is always good fun. And also as well, as you've seen, of course around this time now, between, I can't remember what the times was now, it is 12 and 3 PM. Yeah, it is a little bit turned down as I just previously said, but you know what, it didn't really feel that turned down, so I'm definitely looking forward to of course seeing it later. I mean, that's definitely a great addition here to the park, and yeah, I'm so happy it's of course returned for its second year. So just a little bit further on from the exit of Vaal Villages or Wildwoods, as you can see is Shipwreck Coast. It's actually the new for 2022 area over at Chesington World of Adventures, and yeah, I'm definitely excited to see all the theming pieces. As you can see, it's got a lovely pumpkin up there, just like around the rest of the park, and also as well, something to point out with these reefs, because you know what? They actually look really good, with of course the Chesington logo in the middle, and yeah, just some nice theme pieces, of course, around the outside of it. You know what? I'm actually really impressed with all of the theme pieces over here in Shipwreck Coast. As I just previously mentioned, this area did open earlier this year, and you know what? It's actually looking really good. In terms of the Halloween editions over here, as you can see over the Harbour Master, if I do get the name right, I think it's called Brody's Band of Bridgeons, I think. And to be honest, I don't really know what it's about, as at the moment we can't really see much. All we can see is a couple of pumpkins on some hay bales over here, of course, at the Harbour Master. And to be fair, I'm not really sure what happens, as there's not really much Halloween decorations, of course, around this area. But from what I know by the description, it seems like there's a couple of actors coming over here. And you know what, it is probably quite good. But to be fair, we just can't really see much of it. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the weakest additions, to be honest, of this Halloween event. I mean, if there are actors over here, I'll of course show you later. And yeah, really just check it out. But to be honest, in my opinion, yeah, it's not that great. Okay, so just for our next piece of entertainment, I just wanted to quickly point out Creepy Caves Elimination. As yeah, this is actually the last year of this scare maze. And you know what, it does look pretty cool, as yeah, over the past years, everyone's been saying that it's one of the best scare mazes over in the UK. Yeah, in terms of the timings and really everything you need to know about this scare maze. So yeah, between 12 and 3 PM is of course 2.5 pumpkin spooky rating, which yeah, does basically mean it's 8+ years only. And yeah, between 3 PM and of course closing time, which today is actually 7 PM, yeah, is of course 3 spooky rating, of course 3 different pumpkins, which is 10+ only. And yeah, instead of actually being free with your, of course, your admission to the park, yeah, this maze is actually an upcharge. And in terms of the prices, of course between 12 and 3 PM, the maze ticket is actually £5. And of course as well, between 3 PM and close, it is £8. But of course, if you do have a Merlin annual pass, or I believe if you're staying in one of the on-site hotels, you do of course get a discount on that. And you know, overall it does look pretty good. Unfortunately, I can't experience it today, but you know what, it definitely looks pretty cool. And yeah, it's definitely sad to hear it is the last year over of Creepy Caves. So we've now made our way over here to our next piece of entertainment, of course over here in the mini stage. And yeah, throughout this event, of course, there's tons of different pieces of entertainment over on the stage. Yeah, for this time right now is of course the Violet meet and greet. And essentially, this is actually a new character, I believe, which Chesington has just created, of course, for Halloween. And you know what, it definitely looks pretty cool. So yeah, here are a couple of highlights over here, yeah, from the Violet meet and greet. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed them clips over there from a couple of pieces of entertainment here at Halloween. Of course, first up, we actually did the Violet meet and greet. And you know what, it's so great to, of course, see more characters over at the event. And also as well, especially how it's not an IP, it is definitely nice to see. As like, I know a lot of parks right now do like to bring like IP characters. And you know, as much as I do like it, of course, just like a character which was created by the park, it's definitely quite nice to see. Also as well, it did actually only start this year, I believe. Of course, because I know the werewolf Wilf was actually introduced last year, so that's pretty cool to see. But also as well, next up we then went over to Emily and Evie's fancy dress competition. And due to us of course not wearing any fancy dress, there wasn't really much point of it. But you know what, it was still pretty cool to see. Basically what happened was, it was basically like a fancy dress competition, to be honest. And you know, I still wanted to get a clip of it, just in case of course you guys wanted to come down here and just experience it for yourself. But of course we've now made our way over to a place which I actually only got to experience last year. And this is of course the Creatures and Crawlies, the Horrid Handling House I think it's called. And yeah, this is actually a 1 pumpkin rating, and yeah, it's actually quite short opening times, because yeah, it's only actually open between 1 and 3 PM, so yeah, I definitely make sure to check that out, of course, down on your visit. And you also, I've just actually just seen this down here, of course, the pumpkin decorating, which is of course 1 and 3 PM as well. Yeah, that is actually an upcharge down there. Yeah, let's go and make our way inside of the Creatures and Crawlies, the Horrid Handling House. So that was interesting. We've just made our way outside of the Creatures and Crawlers, the Horrid Handling House. And you know what? It was definitely pretty cool to experience it. So basically, you just went inside of this room, which had loads of different creatures. And as I said by the name, you could basically just sort of handle loads of different creatures. And I believe there were spiders and really some other, just sort of creatures like that, to be honest. And you know, it was definitely pretty cool to see. We didn't actually get to handle any of them because, to be honest, we were too busy looking at something at the back of the room. And that was that. There were actually blueprints, of course, from loads of the different attractions over here at Chesington World of Adventures. I believe there was one for Safari, Safari Ride into Africa. I believe there were a couple of posters up about that. And there were just some blueprints of different layouts. And in the construction phases, of course, when they're building all these new attractions. And you know what? It was definitely pretty cool to see that. Also, as well, something I spotted was last year they actually had this Tiger Rock model, and this year it wasn't actually inside of there, so I'm not sure where that's gone. But to be honest, if you are coming down into the event, I would 100% recommend it, as to be honest, it is quite unique. But of course, as you can see over here on the pathway again, there is actually a nice photo opportunity, of course, with Totally Wicked, hashtag Totally Wicked, and loads of Chesington logos. You know what, it definitely makes for a great photo opportunity. You know what, I'm actually really impressed with all of the different Halloween decorations over here at the event. You know what, it's definitely pretty cool to see. Just outside of Sea Life is of course this huge spider and yet another themed pumpkin. I believe this one is themed to a zebra, and you know what, it definitely looks pretty cool. Even though this sign has now been here for many years, I'm always just shocked at how great this Halloween sign looks. Of course, with the various different colours and also the O act as a pumpkin. You know what, it definitely looks pretty cool over here at the lodge entrance. But along with this, they've also got tons of props in front of it with skeletons, pumpkins and so much more. You know what, it definitely makes for a great arrival experience, of course, if you're arriving from the lodge entrance. Okay, so we've now made our way back over to the mini stage. Of course, over here we're now going to watch the Cheerful Charms of Witch. And I believe this is all themed around Room on the Broom, if I'm right. And I believe it's basically just, of course, all about the witch. So it's definitely pretty cool to see. So let's go and watch the Cheerful Charms of Witch. And of course, I'll show you a couple of highlights from the show.
Stamp your feet and your biggest, scariest business. Oh, amazing.
So that was quite fun. We've just watched the stage show, The Cheerful Charms of Witch. And you know what? It was actually pretty cool to experience it. Even though it was definitely focused towards the younger age group, I did actually find some enjoyment out of it. Basically, the show was actually all themed around the Room on the Broom. You know what? It was definitely pretty cool to see. Basically, what happened was you could basically just guess a couple of the characters from, of course, the book. And that was about it, to be honest. But it was definitely good for the little ones. Also, as well, right after that, they are actually now doing a meet and greet where, of course, you can meet the witch herself. We've now made our way onto these lawns just outside of the Room on the Broom, A Magical Journey, which is of course the walkthrough which hadn't been here at the park back in 2019. And over here, I believe there's actually another show, and this is actually called the Pansy and Petunia's Potion Creation Station. And that definitely rhymes a little, but it's definitely going to be pretty cool to experience this. Not really sure what it has to offer, to be honest, as I've actually never seen a show over here, of course, onto this bit right in front of me, as you can see, with all the different pumpkins and flags as well. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. So let's go and watch the show, and of course I'll show you a couple of highlights. So unfortunately the show was cancelled, and to be fair though, it was raining, so I don't really blame the actors. The only thing is, however, I do wish they sort of put out an announcement, sort of just saying that, unfortunately due to some circumstances, of course the show was cancelled. But to be fair, as I just said, it was raining, so I don't really blame them. But of course, over on the lawns as well, as you can see, some more theming is also up with these huge pumpkins, and I believe there's tons of them down there. Not sure exactly how many, but they're all surrounding, of course, just within inside the fence. And they definitely look pretty cool, and of course as well, also made for some great photo opportunities. Next up, I'm actually going to watch a show which is probably one of the shows I've been most looking forward to. Once again, over there on the mini stage, it is the Misadventures of Wilf and Violet. Of course, we actually met Violet earlier, of course, in the meet and greet, and also as well, we will meet Wilf later on, of course, in another meet and greet. Yeah, let's go and watch this show, and as always, I will show you a couple of highlights from the misadventures of Wilf and Violet.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Violet, since your favourite thing about Halloween is the dancing, would you like to dance some more?
You know what, I actually really enjoyed the misadventures of Wilf and Violet. In my opinion, it's definitely one of the best shows over at the event, and you know what, I definitely recommend experiencing it. Essentially what happened was, it was basically, Violet didn't like Halloween, and towards the end, everyone was trying to make her like Halloween, and then it ended up that she did like Halloween. And basically that's just how the story went, and there were a couple of dances in there, of course some music as well. You know what, overall it was actually quite a good show, and in my opinion, even though it is probably for the younger age group, I'd of course definitely recommend checking it out. But yeah, the rain is definitely starting to come down now over here in Mexicana, and of course this themed area, honestly, it looks pretty cool actually. And yeah, over here, as you can see, there is actually some more Halloween decorations, which is nice to see. Of course, just around the rest of the park, you've of course got the lovely wreaths, with the Chesington World Adventures Halloween logo there, and along with that you've also got tons of pumpkins, and in my opinion, the positioning of the pumpkins is actually pretty cool, as you can see, over on the horse over there. So arguably the main show over here at the event is of course Trick or Treat Live, and over the past few years, I'm not sure if it's been like the exact same name or anything, but the shows have been very similar, of course, over here on this stage. And I have to say that it's not actually the same stage that it used to be. Because this year they've actually changed the stage up, and now it's actually a temporary stage. To be honest, I'm not really sure why they removed the theme on, to be honest. But at least they made an effort, of course, to put some nice cobwebs on there, and also the flags at the top as well. Let's go and watch Trick or Treat Live here at Chesington World Adventures Halloween.
Oh, you could be like that. Simply set out to find Candyland. Oh, I still don't know. There might be witches. I am the ringleader. Call the shots. I am a firecracker. I'll make it hot when I put on a show.
So I hope you've enjoyed the couple of clips over there from Trick or Treat Live. You know what, it was actually quite a good show, to be honest. Essentially, the storyline was that, these two people went to, of course, find Candyland. And then they went on knocks on those different doors. Some were, of course, quite spooky, some weren't. And that basically was how the storyline went. You know what, it was actually quite good. And I know a lot of people say it's like the highlight of the event. In my opinion, I personally wouldn't say that. If you're definitely into, if you're into shows and of course stuff like that, of course I'd recommend watching it. Because it was quite good fun, to be honest. And also as well, it did actually remind me, of course, a Trick or Treat Town over Alton Towers, which of course, Alton Towers Scarefest, which in 2021 I think it was, of course it was just Trick or Treat Town. This year in 2022 it's Trick or Treat Town presents Haribo. But to be honest, it just reminded me a little bit of that. Of course, we've now though made it back over here once again to the mini stage again. And you know what, I do quite like the mini stage. Of course, something which I didn't point out earlier were of course some nice pumpkins. Because as you can see, just down there is also a mushroom as well, and also a cauldron. But there's tons of different pieces of course theming. Next up is actually going to be the Wilf meet and greet, which is of course the friendly werewolf over here at Chesington World Adventures Halloween. And you know what, I'm definitely looking forward to, of course, seeing him in person. It's always great to meet Wilf, the friendly werewolf, over here at the event. In my opinion, it's actually a really good place to go, and to be honest as well, as a meet and greet, you know what, it was actually pretty good. Fortunately, there wasn't actually much of a line. However, to be honest, I did feel quite sorry for him because there must have only been around maximum of 10 people there, so I did feel quite sorry for him. But you know what, it did make for a shorter line, which was definitely pretty cool. But also as well, we're actually now going to make our way over back to Adventure Point again to of course check out another show. This time it's the Witches of Adventure Point. You may actually remember earlier when we actually watched the Witches of Adventure Point opening ceremony. And of course as well later today, and I think it was 6 o'clock, is the closing show, of course. The closing ceremony over here at the event, which is definitely going to be pretty cool to see. This is the one that just runs in between the day, of course in between the opening and the closing. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. I believe it's probably going to be very similar to earlier, but you know what, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. So let's go head over there and of course watch it.
All over, surround the night world in the distance of the races is the rainforest land.
As much as I definitely enjoyed watching the Witches of Adventure Point, in my opinion, yeah, it's not really my kind of show. So essentially what happened was, of course you got the three main witches, and yeah, there was really just a bit of music going on in the background. Yeah, but to be honest, it's just not really my kind of show. And like, I know a lot of people probably would quite like it, so of course I'd recommend giving it a go. But yeah, if I'd personally prioritise quite a few things, of course, at the event over it. And something which I definitely would prioritise over it is, of course, the Vile Villagers of Wildwoods. And yeah, of course, this is like a walkthrough attraction. And yeah, we did actually experience it earlier, of course, between 12 and 3 PM. And yeah, of course, that was actually only with 2 pumpkins, of course, so not as spooky as it is now. As of course, right now, it's actually between 3 and 7 o'clock. I believe it's around 6 o'clock right now. So of course we actually have the 3 pumpkin rating. So I hope it's a little bit more spooky than earlier. But yeah, we'll go and see what it has to offer. And of course I'll give my review on the way out. So yeah, let's go ahead inside of our second run through here of Vile Villagers of Wildwoods. So once again, we've just made our way outside of the Vile Villagers of Wildwoods. And you know what? It was actually a little bit more spooky than last time. So in terms of the improvements, essentially there were quite a few more jump scares in there, which you know was actually quite funny. And yeah, along with that, the actors were just a little bit more spooky, and of course a bit more frightening to their guests. And yeah, of course, who are going into their village. You know, overall it was fun to experience it. I didn't think there was too much of a difference. But to be fair, I would personally recommend experiencing both versions. As you know what, they are great fun, and in my opinion, definitely the highlight of the event. Of course, besides creepy caves with Resurgence, which of course I haven't experienced. But for me, you know what, the Vile Villagers of Wildwoods, yeah, is definitely the highlight over here at the event. So we've just made our way over here into Wild Asia, and as you can see for the Halloween event is of course Banyan, the Circle of 8. And I believe this is the 2nd year running. It may even be more than that, to be honest. However, yeah, I believe it's like a show with fire effects, actors, and so much more. But also as well, as you can see down there for the spooky rating, it does only have 1 pumpkin, which of course means that yeah, it's suitable for all ages. You know what, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this. So yeah, here are a couple of highlights, of course if I can get any, here of Banyan, the Circle of 8. So we've just finished watching Banyan, the Circle of 8. And you know what, that show definitely exceeded expectations. In my opinion, that's one of the best shows this park has ever held, to be honest. Essentially, there were tons of fire effects, smoke effects, and of course the actors there were just amazing also. But you know what, that show was just incredible. And in my opinion, I would definitely recommend watching it, of course, on your visit here to Chessington World Adventures Halloween. Yeah, next up, we're going to make our way over to our last show of the day, which is of course the Witches of Adventure Point, the closing ceremony. And just like the previous 2 shows today, over from the Witches of Adventure Point, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what this one is like, as in my opinion this could be the best, as of course we are over here at night now. So yeah, let's go and check this show out, because you know, I think it's definitely going to be pretty cool. So yeah, let's go and watch the Witches of Adventure Point closing ceremony. Okay, so there you have it, the last show of our day. And you know what, that was definitely quite fun to watch. Unfortunately, due to some dodgy timing from me, yeah, we actually missed a little bit of the show. But yeah, from what we saw, it was still quite good fun. Essentially, it was like the opposite to the opening ceremony, of course with it being the closing ceremony, but actors from all around the park would then come over to the main central stage, of course at Adventure Point, so then do like a little performance together, and of course while there was music, you know, it was definitely quite good fun, and yeah, I would definitely recommend watching it. However, due to not really getting that long to get night rides in, of course, on these Halloween evenings, I'd personally recommend sticking to some more night rides, to be honest. However, again, if you are into shows more, yeah, of course, I'd definitely recommend experiencing it. However, now we're going to take a look around the park in the next 10 minutes and really just check out some night rides and, of course, hopefully take some footage, of course, from around the park, because you know what, today has been amazing.
Welcome back. Once you come to a complete stop, you may rejoin the land of the living by exiting up the stairs to your left-hand side. If your restraint is not open, pull it down towards you and it will release.
Nothing beats a night ride over there on Vampire. Honestly, that coaster changes so much from day to night, and you know what, it's amazing. Of course, the night as well, all the different lighting, and yeah, of course as well that tunnel, which is literally pitch black. You know what, it's pretty insane, and in my opinion, it's definitely a great way to end off the night. Of course, as you can see now, we are back in the car park. Of course, I just wanted to wrap up this video, because you know what, this day today has been incredible. Honestly, over the past few years, Chesington World Adventures Halloween has of course been very, very good. And I feel like this year, even though I feel like last year was probably the superior year to this year, you know, I've still really enjoyed this year, as in my opinion, it could even be the second best year that of course the event has ever had, of course just behind last year. And the reason why I do say it's a little bit worse than last year, of course if I just get the negatives out of the way, is due to some of the actors and stuff. There wasn't as many actors in different places, so such as like there weren't like people around, of course like Mexicana or some of the areas around the park, which is a little bit of a shame. And also as well, in my opinion, the Forgotten Forest was definitely, I was a little bit disappointed at, because that walkthrough used to actually be really good, and in my opinion, one of the highlights of the event. But honestly, today has been incredible. And in terms of the positives, you know what, this event is actually really good fun. Of course, Wild Villagers of the Wildwoods, it's always a great walkthrough. And whether you experience it a little bit tamer, or of course, a little bit scarier, you know what, it's still a great walkthrough with tons of actors, and so much more. But in my opinion, the best thing today, of course, was over actually in Wild Asia, and I can't remember what it's called now. Oh, that's it, the Banyan show, and I can't remember the full name of it now. But you know what, that show was just incredible. In my opinion, one of the best shows I've ever seen. And you know what, definitely makes the visit here, Chesington World Adventures Halloween alone worth it. Would I recommend visiting? Of course. I mean, this event is one of the best events down here in the UK, of course, for the Halloween season. And also what's quite nice as well is it is open late enough, of course, to get some night rides. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.